Hey guys, and welcome to this random installation of where you give me a reading. Here's the problem. When I take a break and I'm not seeing a ton of clients, like this little Gemini brain is just like ideas. Oh my God, I have ideas. So last minute, I wanted to show you guys and showcase for you the readings I do at the beginning of the year. I do them this year. They're only going to be January and February. I only do 2 of them a week because they have to be done when I can work from home. So there's only 2 a week, very, very limited run. But the readings are called like everything but the kitchen sink because it's literally everything but the kitchen sink. Now, this is more of a kind of an example, one of those, but they typically will be 90 minutes in scope. And it is a bunch of layered oracle cards and a tea leaf reading, dice, I-Ching, tarot, Lenormand, like literally everything but the kitchen sink. And Myra here, I want to make sure I'm saying it right. I always mess it up. Magicdoor.tarot is your handle on Instagram, Magicdoor Tarot.
Yes.
Last minute, I was like, hey, what are you doing? So thank you. How are you doing today?
Great. And even better now. Just so excited. It was such a nice surprise. So thank you for thinking of me.
Yeah, and thanks for spending your lunchtime with me. I will do good justice with it. Um, so what you're also a reader. I know you. We've met each other. We've kind of danced in each other's relative circles for a little while now. Can you share a little bit about you and what's going on in your neck of the world?
Well, yes, I'm a tarot and tea leaf reader. Just under about 5 years. The years kind of melted together after 2020, I think, for everyone. I'm just like, what freaking year is it? But yeah, tarot and tea leaf reader, and more recently, candle maker. I'm having so much fun. So
Oh, that's
that's what I do. Mhm.
awesome. And how can people find you?
Instagram, magicdoor.tarot. I have a website. Is it what is it? Jenna, help me know. The magicdoortarot.com. I always forget. I was like, is that in there? Yeah, the
Magic Door Tarot.
magicdoortarot.com. Mm-hmm.
So it's so cool that you also do tea leaf readings. I don't think there's many of us that do both tarot and
Mm-hmm.
tea leaf readings. So that's awesome. You're going to love the little cup I found at the local thrift store that I'm going to do this in. And I'll get into that in a minute. So let me start my camera so everybody can see what we're going to do for everything but the kitchen sink. So here it is. I already prepared the tea and I already flipped it. So I haven't pulled it up yet. I've just been kind of sitting
Mm-hmm.
with it. But it's like super tiny and
Cool.
super
Yeah,
cute.
it's cute.
Little cherry blossoms and like little robins, maybe. But the only thing is it's not fluted. I prefer more of a fluted wall.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about do you too? Do you like that?
Same. Yeah, I like it to be like half a little sphere almost.
Yeah. This
Yeah.
is just straight. So this like like you had to really get your swirl on with it.
Yeah.
It wasn't quite as easy.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just so cute and little that I was like, oh, I want to use that. So to start off, we're gonna start layering the reading, and I'll save the tea leaf reading kind of for last. So I'm actually just gonna put it over here. Um, and the really cool thing about this reading is I'm using, I don't even know how many, like maybe 8 to 10 different oracle and divination systems. And yet they all, like when you start to build it the theme is so clear and concise. It's so crazy, which is why I love doing these. So the first thing I'm gonna wait. You and I know what your tarot numerology is, but I'm gonna wait to reveal that to people watching as we go through all of the elements of your reading. And please feel free to stop me or make comments at any time. Okay.
Oh
Like,
my
don't
gosh.
feel
No.
you're like, no,
No, just be like quiet watching. I love it.
quiet, the quiet watcher. So, the rest of this is gonna be at random, like why I'm starting where I'm starting. And I think that that is also, um, you know how it is. It's random, but it's not random. Like it's building the story. And so I don't necessarily choose, oh, I'm going to do this deck and then this deck and this deck. It's kind of like I pull them out and then just let intuition guide my hand. So the first one that came for you was out of the Oracle card deck. Let me see. Let me grab the actual, excuse me, the actual. Hey guys, top of my head. So Visions of the Liminal Space is what I started with because I've been having a lot of fun with this this Oracle deck. And so your first card was No Vacancy. Let me see if I can get this to be a little clearer. Yeah. No vacancy. And I thought that was really interesting. Like, what does she not have any room for? What does she not have any room for anymore? That was the first thing that came to mind. And then the second card I pulled after that is from a brand new oracle that just came out by Little Darkness. She did the Lillifer Tarot called the Reclaim Oracle. And it's cool because it's just an oracle of like feelings. So we get like, what is, so no vacancy. Okay, cool. No vacancy for what? No vacancy for what? Like, what are we done with? What do we don't have time for? And the card that came right after was Inhibition. So we don't have any more time for the ways that you've maybe played small, whether that has been socialized into you or whatever. But like we're done with not really owning our greatness and our light. And also maybe the effects of shame, because often that's inhibition, like worried about what people think or people's judgments or, you know, whatever those things are, or even your shyness on some level. Like what ways were you in the world that you are now deciding, I don't want to agree to be in the world in this way anymore, is very much the theme of this reading for you.
Okay.
We good? You
Yeah.
stop me
Yeah,
if
I
you're
like
like,
that.
Dana, no, the triggers are too strong. I can't handle it.
No. No, I'm just like, I forget that you can't, I don't know if you can see me still on yours, but I'm just like quiet, nodding, listening. And I was like,
Yeah,
oh my
yeah, I can
gosh,
see it.
Myra, maybe she can't see you.
I can see you.
Okay.
And then I pulled from Athene's Modern Goddess Tarot. Okay, so these are some of the big themes for her. Who's showing up for her? What God is showing up for her to guide her through this journey? And I like laugh when I was like, oh my God, that's crazy. Like in a good way, but just intense. Like who showed up for you,
Oh
Myra,
shit.
was Kali, the destroyer.
I felt like you were gonna say that. I was just like, oh my God. Let me
Literally, you
see.
thought it Kali. Yeah. So to me, I'm like, yes, Kali embodies like all of that energy, doesn't it? Just like, we don't have time for your shit. We don't have time for your blah, blah. We don't have time. And I was just
Your
like,
blah blah.
wow, that is really, really intense. So now I think is a good time to actually now do show your tarot numerology, which is based off of your month and day of birth plus this year. And this is what I did last. Like I did it right in front of you. So I'd already had all these picked before I even got to your tarot numerology because I didn't have your date of birth. So you're in a 16 year this year, which is the tower, right? Well, Kali is a tower embodied, isn't she? She's the destroyer. And so when I saw this, I was like, wow, there is some real big fundamental shifts going on in terms of who you are in the world and like owning your power. And especially when it means like having to destroy some structures or relationships that cannot handle your evolution. Some big dismantling there. And because the Chariot is 16, I will often add those yet again to get to the prime numerology for you. So in regular numerology, you would be a 7 year. But I also go, okay, well, what's the secret card? And we have the Chariot. So the Chariot, oh, and this is the Tarot of Oneness that I kickstarted this year. And I just think it's so beautiful. It's such a beautiful, dynamic deck. So I felt like even though we have that 16 energy, and that 16 energy is the great dismantling, I don't necessarily see it, and I know you don't see it as a scary card as much as structures that have been very hard for you to dismantle on your own. You're going to get a divine boost to dismantle them. But whenever the divine get involved, they're usually not a gentle hand. And it's Kali sure as F is not the gentle hand, is she? So this is all about some big dismantlings that would not have happened without that kind of oomph. But it is so that the Chariot can arise, right? So that we can unstuck ourselves and we can be free of the structure of the tower, however safe the tower may feel, right? So I really see this as the story of Rapunzel in many ways, right? Like, you're safe in the tower, I guess, but who's gonna, you can't live your life. You are just like a living statue. And so the tower is dismantled and then you're free again. There's a lot of that in the reading for you.
Love it.
So, then the rest of it is really about what are the supports or the tools besides Kali, who's showing up in this year for you with all of these big shifts and changes. And so interestingly, I do I-Ching. I do it for myself. I typically don't do it in session, but I do the coin tosses, I could use Josh sticks, whatever, but I use coin tosses. But then I also have the I-Ching Oracle card just to show you. So the I-Ching that was revealed for you or was tossed for you was 63, which is after completion. Now, do you know much about the I-Ching? No?
I do not. No,
Oh,
I was going to comment that too. I don't know how that system works or anything about it.
well, you know what? I'm going to give you yet
Well.
another thing to obsess about and to learn. So,
Mhm.
I-Ching is how many hexagrams is it? 64, I want to say. I don't remember the exact number, but each hexagram is a combination of 2 trigrams. So those you can see it here. The 6, this is the hexagram here. And it consists of 6 lines that are broken or unbroken, which denote yin or yang energy. But each 3 of the trigrams is symbolic of one of the 5 elements within the Chinese cosmology. So 63 is water above fire. And so you can see from the image, it's like steam has been rising, where water has doused the fire. And fire in I-Ching is very much like the wand suit, right? Passionate, vibrant. But water is often more like, not necessarily like the water that we see in tarot, but more like swords. Like they can be treacherous. Like water can bring trouble, not always, but it's a more dynamic way of viewing water than we necessarily would look at it from a tarot perspective. So anyways, after completion is really this idea that these seismic shifts have already begun. They've already started, and they're more or less kind of out of your control at this point. You're just in it for the ride. And so it's almost like you're in a toboggan and you're heading down the snowy mountain, and you're going to you're there, you're already in it. Gravity is doing its thing. And the best thing you can do is just try to avoid the trees, as it's happening.
Yeah.
And so the cool thing about I-Ching, and this is what makes it very different from tarot, is that tarot is a static card, meaning it is a complete archetype unto itself. But when you do I-Ching, you have the hexagram, but then as you toss the coins, you get what's called the changing line, which means that you get information as to one of these lines here is just about to shift, leading it to eventually another hexagram. So this is this idea of the book of changes, that there's no like this is static. Everything is in a cyclical pattern.
Oh, like a flow.
Like a flow. Yeah. And if you look
Cool.
at Chinese, the elements, they're not in like the way we do it in the West, right? You have earth, air, fire, water, and they're in columns, they're unto themselves. But in Chinese elemental magic, they all influence and impact each other. And so water on top of fire really impacts and diminishes the energetic properties of fire. Much like you pouring water on fire. And that's what I love about the I-Ching is it's very natural. It makes a lot of sense and it's beautiful. So anyways, the changing line, I wrote this one down because I wanted to make sure I did not get this wrong. The changing line for this one is, so the I-Ching 63 is after completion or already across, like this is already kind of happening. It's already in motion. Oh yeah, it was changing line 4. And changing line 4 is, but it's still a fragile situation. So again, you're in the toboggan and it's pretty much, this is where we're at, but we do want to try to like lean with our weight to avoid the trees. You don't want to just close your eyes and start praying. We don't want to keep our eyes off of the transitional aspect of this year for you. Right? So if you're the tower and you're falling, like you don't want to be like this guy, we're just looking up at the tower. You want to be like a cat, right? And turn around and go, oh, I don't want to land on that big boulder. Let me see like if I can move myself over. So the landing is softer. So that's a lot of the energy that it's largely already in motion. You have, and in fact, it's incumbent that you nudge the way this is going to look as you move through it.
Okay.
So that is the I-Ching piece.
Cool.
Any thoughts or questions so far?
No, I love it. I'm just taking it all in. I'm taking notes because I'm a nerd. So if you see me looking down, that's what I'm doing.
Nerd. So we have a paper lantern where I live. There's like they do at every solstice a paper lantern festival where you make your own paper lanterns and then you parade through the dark forest of a park, and it's beautiful. And this weekend I was like, I'm going to make the Enterprise. So yes, I know about nerdiness. And people are going to be like, I've brought mushrooms and I've brought mystical creatures and I'm going to bring the USS Enterprise. It's pretty funny. Okay. So from there, I did what's called dice divination. I did it ahead of time just for sake of time. And this, like, nobody really talks about this little book that I picked up a couple years ago, but I love it. It's called Elemental Divination, a Dice Oracle by Stephen Ball. And it kind of like riffs a little bit off of I-Ching. I see that that's where he got his idea. But you have each die is its own reading. It's an element, but also the sun and the moon. And then you have a third die, which then indicates whether the influence is lesser or greater. So you have 4 of a 5 with 1. What you have is which one is it? 4/5. It's like sun over, no, moon. Is it moon over sun? It's moon over sun, I think. Like, let me make sure. Let me look in the index. I think that's accurate. Usually I don't look at the book, but I'm like, which was the 4/5? Oh, okay. Yeah, duh. Lesser earth over sun. That's right. And so it's called, and in the book, it's called discarding the mask, and really making sure that you are recognizing and allowing yourself to be recognized by your achievements, right? Because the sun, it's like moving, kind of how I-Ching moves from bottom to top. So the sun is overtaking the earth. So it's like discarding that, like there's a brightness coming. And I feel that this energy here, which is this discarding the mask, like really coming into your authentic nature, can only be made possible by the work that happens here. And it's big stuff with that Kali and that and that tower. It's big stuff. It's real intrinsic seismic changes in terms of your relationship to yourself and your relationship to the world. And I'm feeling a lot of stuff probably with your business here. And you're trying to make some moves is also what I see. But I also know that when you're a tarot reader, there's that perennial question: do I go pro? What are people going to say about me? Like, how do I navigate this? It's, it's hard. But you have some friends, and here are some of your friends. So one of the cards that I did it last year and I just loved it, so I kept it in, but it's the Wisdom of Trees Oracle. And one of your friends is the ginkgo. And in this oracle, the ginkgo means memory. And the ginkgo is one of my favorite trees because it's the only tree we have that was a tree when dinosaurs were walking the planet. Ginkgo are crazy ancient. And by all accounts, they should not be here anymore, but they have somehow clung on. And they might have been completely extinct if it wasn't for a Western horticulturist who went to China after China opened and found basically all that there were in a valley in China. And was like, this is a cool plant to put in a garden. And that's what saved it.
Cool.
So the ginkgo here in the oracle is called memory. But I also want to add a twist to it, because what I'm also hearing, so who's here to help you? So we have ginkgo in the spirit of ginkgo way of seeing ginkgo, right? The deva of ginkgo, but also ginkgo really signifying ancestor work for you. That, and possibly some like intergenerational stuff that's coming up to be healed. And I could definitely see some of that over here. And then, are we good? You're so quiet.
Yes. Sorry. Sorry. I'm just like so enjoying it. I'm just
Oh, good. Just
into it.
Are we
Yeah,
good?
no.
Are we good? Are we still here?
I know what you mean. That's what I do. I'm like looking at people I'm reading for. Sometimes I'm like, yes, no, maybe so. But yeah, yes.
So then I wanted to pull like a spirit animal, like an animal guide for you in terms of your tools and supports. And last year I used Nature Portals by Jamie Sawyer. And this year, though, I was kind of called to do the Magical Menagerie, which is kind of like this fun little guy. And it has both mundane and also mystical creatures, which I liked. So interestingly, the card that pulled for you is the eagle. And I have a feeling that the eagle is actually very important to you personally, or like among your people. I don't know how to put that anymore, but like there's probably eagles around you, or like where you live. There's something about that eagle energy. But
That
eagle
there
is
is.
showing up. Hmm?
Yeah, there is. There's like right where I live, when I drive down the little hill that takes me into the road by my house,
Yeah.
there's a family of bald eagles actually that live there. And it's the first time I've ever lived anywhere where they're just out in the wild.
Mm.
And I think this is actually the time of the year that they start coming in here a little bit more. But they kind of move through, but I'll see them a lot. Just, I mean, it is pretty breathtaking, right? You're just driving down the road and they kind of swoop down and over and go, because there's a little river by my house.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it is pretty magical to me.
Mm.
And I don't know. I don't think that I could really put into words, but there's just something about it there in the spot where I live. Yeah.
Well, the Deva of Eagle, the grand spirit of Eagle is showing up as a guide and a helper for you through this transitional phase. Magical Menagerie has the eagle as kind of like the lord of all of the Western elements. So you have air, fire, water, and earth, and that makes a lot of sense. I'm a birder, so we have some eagles here too. Like they've really made a comeback, and they sound like, it makes me crazy. Okay, like sidebar, like as a birder, when people are like America, and then there's an eagle, and the eagle's like
And you actually
caw,
hear them.
and I was like, that is a red-tailed hawk.
Yeah,
That
you're
is
like,
not
that's
an
not a bald
eagle.
eagle.
It's like,
Yeah, same.
and I'm like, that is a
Uh,
hawk. Eagles
uh-huh.
are like, choo, 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 choo.
A
Like
little
they're
tiny
just.
sound. Yes, you're like, wow, I did not expect that sound out of a bald eagle. Yeah, exactly.
So I think there's something in that, right? That story of like, you look one way, but your sound is not intimidating. That there is an element of
Mhm.
intimacy and drawing in, but also fierceness, which I think is cool about the eagle, right? So I don't know. I just was like, wow, that's really interesting to me. That's what's coming up. So ultimately, in this story that we see here, we really have three, like what are the factors of this chariot of like when it's broken open and moving forward, what does this look like? And we really have Kali, the eagle, and Ginkgo, which I think is really interesting.
I do need to I like the ginkgo so much. Like how you're saying for you it brings up um like ancestor work
Mm.
things. I think that's so important. Especially because in the past few years, um just lots of negative discoveries within my family have come up, right? Probably since 2020. And it kind of flipped my world upside down. And I've been trying to rediscover who I am past that person who actually just so happens to be my father.
Mm.
But like to find out or to not completely cut off who I am because of him and seek past him and just not let it kind of make me shut down or hate parts of me that are him, because the
Yeah.
line doesn't end there. I have to seek past him, beyond him, farther back in the line,
Mm-hmm.
and still respect those parts of me, because it's not just him, it's the people before him who are good people too.
Mm-hmm.
Just he's not everything that is that side of the line. So I
Yeah.
have been working on that. So I like that.
Yeah. And like that no vacancy inhibition, like that you are becoming who you need to become, and F whatever other people might think about that,
Mm-hmm.
and that's true, that when we start to become very clear about the family of origin, the family culture, and we decide to no longer, right, play the role that was kind of foisted on us, really,
Mm-hmm.
you start to get a lot of heat. People don't like that when you start not playing along with something that you never agreed to in the first place. So that's some of that, I think, possibly here too. Yeah, so it's all already in motion. And nudge where you can. But it is big. Taking off the mask, the tower is, I often see that as like our own delusions or our own stories that we maybe told ourselves to survive or to keep us from pain, and now we no longer can.
I
And
actually like
that's
it. I kind of
mm,
appreciate that it's
mm,
like a tower year
mm,
because I'm really good at um, just sticking to and doing like the same thing, and I feel like because I was in the military, I feel like there's things that I just like stick to. This is working, like I'm doing the thing.
yeah.
So I like when life kind of shakes things up for me
Mm.
because then I'm like, okay, cool. I'm gonna do something different, and I'll just adapt to and just make the best out of what's next. So I like that.
Yeah, I like that too.
I'm embracing myself, but yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't it crazy how I use all these different modalities and how they fit? It always blows my mind.
Mm-hmm.
So the
Yeah.
final cards that were part of this uh, is just like a little mini Lenormand. And this starts to move into kind of more like less these huge, big thematic things and more about like the nuts and bolts about what you need to know about. And so what I just pulled three. It's just like, hey, Lenormand, what do you just kind of really briefly want to tell her about this year? And I got this at Barnes and Noble, actually. It's really cute. Cute. It is really cute.
It's
Cute little
cute.
Lenormand. It's
Cute little
adorable.
Lenormand.
Yeah, I was feeling that.
Hmm.
So I pulled three from this deck. And interestingly, do you read Lenormand too? Yeah,
Yes.
I thought you did.
Mhm.
Yeah. So okay, here we go. We have the snake, we
Hmm.
have the dog, and we have the cross. Now, this instantly spoke to me about a difficult relationship with another woman, right? Either could be a close friend or a sibling or a cousin friend, something of that nature, could have a family tie, not always. But I'm just seeing that and going, oh, whoever this is, um, I don't think that the relationship ends, but it definitely moves through a very rough patch as a result of the shifts that you're going through. Like they're just not maybe understanding it, or they don't want to look at what's going on with you because it may trigger stuff for them and they're not ready. But this is like a really important relationship to you, and it does show up as kind of having some difficulty um in this. So just FYI.
Hmm. I already got it on in my mind, girl. I'm
Oh,
writing
you're
this
like,
down.
I know
I'm
who
all,
she.
mm-hmm. Hmm.
So then, dude, it's like crazy. So then, oops, I have my charms. So then what I'm going to do now that these are kind of all out,
Oh my gosh, I love this.
I'm going to now put these out so that everyone can try to get a little equal. And I'm just going to toss the charms and see if we can get like another layered piece in all of this. Yeah, I was like, I do not exaggerate. I mean, you know that about me. Like if I say it, I'm not phoning it in. It is literally the case.
Yeah.
And they're really fun for me to do. I really enjoy them.
That is so cool. I didn't know how many things you're gonna do every time you're like, and I have charms. I'm like, yes. You're like, but wait, there's
Oh,
more.
I
Like, yeah.
was like, I need a way to be able to use all this cool stuff that I have, right? So
So
I'm gonna
fun.
just take a pinch and I'm just like casting it at random. And so we have, that's interesting, peace over Kali. You have, wow, you have the eagle, you have the hatchet, um, kind of between the eagle and the tower. you have the pine cone in Tower. And interestingly, you have cards between eagle and inhibition. You can't make this stuff. Like, come on, this is crazy.
My
It's so
cards between eagle and inhibition. Okay.
yeah, we know that. I know you know what that means, and I know
Mhm.
what that means. And then there is this little jack-o'-lantern, but he's like upside down, he's facing away, and that's between eagle and collie. So when I toss, I try to just kind of like, I'm not trying to make it be in one area. I'm just trying to like toss them and without thinking too much. But really, with the eagle and inhibition with the cards and knowing that you're a card reader, I think this is really targeting your profession as a
Mhm.
reader. And how yeah, I just got it. Like, you've got to go deeper, like the way an eagle dives, right? The eagle flies, but
Mhm.
the eagle dives for fish. And like, that's the wild thing, right? Is that fishing birds automatically, when they make their dives, they automatically and instinctually course correct for the distortion of the water.
Mhm.
This is how they know they strike true. So there's something in that technique for you as you move ever more deeply into this work.
I love that.
With that pine cone. So for me, pine cone is often like, yeah, it's like generational children. So it makes sense to me. But also when I'm looking at that, I see the fire on the tower, it really just intuitively brings to mind like the pinyon pine, which requires fire for
To
the
bust
seeds
it
to
open.
open.
Cool.
And we have the hatchet, and the hatchet, it's not striking at the eagle. It's not, it's like it's almost going to touch it, but it's not like it's cleaving the eagle or harming the eagle. And that's important. And I feel what I feel is that, again, the bird is saying, or eagle is saying, I'm a tool with the hatchet in order to maybe cut the burning tower, or to like continue this process, that I'm bringing that. So how do you course correct to strike true despite distortion around you? And how do you offer that to others? I find it interesting that the peace sign is over Kali, and immediately it made me think, so Kali's destructive influence is intense but more short-lived, and then it kind of simmers down through the year. So that was a feeling, like it was like adding kind of a chill factor to her, which is good. She's a lot.
Okay.
And then interestingly, because with charms, I also look at not only like where they land between cards and spatially what's going on with them, but also if they're reversed. So with the jack-o'-lantern between the eagle and collie, right? So the jack-o'-lantern is literally in the space between, and it's turned away. So traditionally, jack-o'-lanterns in the Celtic nations were like wards to keep bad energy coming into the home, or bad spirits. So I feel like what it's saying to me, at least, is don't fight this. Don't try to ward this off.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a coming for you. Like, you've got to dive through the wave to get to the other side. That's the only way that we can do this right now. So that is that piece. And then I'm going to move to the tea leaf reading if you have time. If not, that's fine. I know you've got to go.
I'm in.
Okay. I'll rush it then, because I'll do that. And then for people that do the 90-minute sessions with me, after all of this, we then would either do a little Lenormand reading or a tarot card reading. They get to choose.
So cool.
So, isn't this fun?
Mm-hmm. Yes, I am having fun.
Yay. I'm like, that's one word for it, right? Like, tower is coming for you, Kali, right? So, oops.
I know. I was like, damn, Tower and Kali and hatchets. Oh my gosh.
And hatchets.
And snakes and crosses.
Mhm. But
Mm,
it doesn't feel like the tone for me in all of this, it doesn't feel bad. It just feels
mm-mm.
intense and like needing to happen, kind of
Yeah.
is the vibe.
Yeah. Same. I don't feel doom and gloom about it. I'm just like, all right, here we go. Whatever it is has to happen. So,
Well, it's I know your muggle job is like you work in the healthcare industry, right? And
mhm,
you're wearing scrubs. So I mean anyone can make that guess. But I often say that with clients, which is like, okay, like this is like you've gotten, a pretty like intense diagnosis. And the only way through is to do the thing you don't want to do, but that's
mhm,
the only way we were going to get you better is to go through the process. But I don't see a resistance in the reading, but just like the inevitability that it is a requirement. There's an initiation factor that I sense in all of this for you. Okay. So your tea leaf. So I turned it over. Doesn't have slopey sides, but like let me just like show how cute it is. Like look how sweet, and
it
it's
is cute.
like really thin, beautiful, old timey. So what I'm gonna do is I'm not gonna be able to do this on camera and be able to see it. So and I probably do this very different. I don't know if I do this. I don't know. Like I kind of do my own thing, but um I look at both the cup and the saucer. And so for me, like to me, the saucer is kind of like what's in play, and then what's in the cup is kind of like moving in time away from you. And there's a lot here in the saucer. And I'm just going to start telling you what I see. Well, I can actually look at this one pretty easily. So I don't know if you can see like the woman in the hat making an offering. Let me show you. So there's her face, like the woman in the hat, and like her
Okay.
bustle, and like she's like holding something out.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that does indicate like some helpful woman to you in this process. It could be a woman you already know, and she either has like a big hat or a crown. So someone who has some leadership in whatever it is that she's a part of. And I feel like it's a helpful energy.
Have an idea of who that is.
Um, so I'm gonna just say something that's like super left field.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't know. Like, do you have kids or want kids or any questions around kids?
I have two kids.
Are you done?
Oh, oh, why? What do you see?
Well,
I'm so
I'm
gray
kind of
already.
looking at this and it kind of looks like somebody like what I felt was, let me get a little closer, was somebody like leaning over a bassinet.
Oh
But I
gosh.
don't always think it's like human children. It could be
Mm-hmm.
like anything that you're caretaking in a nurturing kind of way.
Go make my husband's appointment right now. I'm like, no.
You better
But,
go, mister.
mm,
But interestingly, I really see like this is like diving angels and like someone watching, like there's something above this that is like, we want this to occur. There's an interest in this. Even could be ancestors. Like we're watching this, we're seeing what's going on here. Like I said, I don't think it necessarily has to mean a human child, but like something shows up to need care. And that's important. Ooh, oh, okay. So the other thing I'm seeing, all of a sudden, I'm seeing the whole saucer like a pig's face, and like there's the snout. And I'm just looking like he's like kind of side-eyeing over here, like this. And oh, wow. Okay. So with tea leaf readings, I jump all around. It's like whatever shows up, shows up. So
Same. Mhm.
with like this like little cocky smile. Um, oh wow. Okay. So I don't know if this is like in your muggle job or your reader job, but there's something sly, like, but good for you. 'Cause for me, pig is fortune. Um,
Mm,
like a piggy bank, right? And so when I see that sly pig, but it's sly in a good way, though. It's not sly in like someone like out to harm you. So I don't know if you come up with like $1 million idea or something, and you're just like, no one's thought of this. And like, you're like, yes, I don't know what it could be.
mhm,
But I do feel it is tied to wealth generation in some way. And I love that when I'm really intently looking at one part and then my intuition goes, no, 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 look at this. This is important.
mhm.
Um, so then I often will turn it and see if there's anything else that's coming up here. I'm wondering if you and your family are talking about or have scheduled a journey or a vacation or something. Um, or like, so here's what I'm kind of seeing. I shouldn't just dump around. I should just tell you what I see. Like, I feel like I see two people here and here, and both of them are riding something like a horse or something of that
Mm,
nature. I don't know if you guys do that or or there will be, I don't know, but that's what I'm seeing. And it's something that feels like it's going to happen. And I feel like it's connected to the family in some way and the kids in some way and also you. But I don't know anything more than that. And I don't know if that makes any sense, but you know how it is. If I see it, I say it.
mhm,
Um, and like one is like kind of almost like pulling the other, like there is, but I don't necessarily feel that either one of these are you. That's the thing. I'm not sure. I feel like, but it's in the family. um and it's not like you wouldn't be part of it, but like, but that's not where like the juice is. That's not where the work is. That's not where the thing that happens. And then I feel like something about mountain region. I'm getting that as well. um I'm also wondering too, like I'm kind of seeing a W here. I feel like that could be some energy for you. Um
Well, I'm definitely like jotting it down like for that because I feel like the two people writing is more
mm,
um, like a feeling that we came here for to Washington, right? That's where I live now, and we moved
yeah.
here from California.
Yeah.
So um, I don't know. That's like another thing that I also have like on my list of things to do is to
Mm,
kind of get back to the feeling that we were seeking when we first came here.
mm,
And then you just kind of get caught in the day to day, But like,
yeah.
um, we have like a little piece of land, a little small farm kind of thing happening,
Oh,
and stuff
yeah.
like that. And then life happens and it kind of changes some things, you don't get it all exactly how you wanted it, but seeing that
Yeah.
kind of makes me feel like, okay, like that is a feeling to me.
I'm looking at this like I'm also like, oh, that could be a surfboard. They could be riding the waves. And this can also be like a snowmobile. So I'm like, there's like conveyances of all kinds happening in the energy
Hmm.
of this.
Hmm.
I saw horses first, but I don't need to die on that hill. Because it keeps shifting for me on
Hmm.
that.
Yeah, especially with tea leaf, how it's like the same symbols can be multiple messages, and then
Yeah.
you realize, oh, that's, they're both messages, or it's like a combination of like a meaning for you. So
How old are your
yeah,
two
I get it.
kids? Can I ask?
6 and 2.
6 and 2. Okay. I'm wondering because I now like the face of the pig has changed and it's become more like unhappy. And I'm wondering if that's connected to that inner image of like, almost I feel like this message of like lots of physical activity or work with horses or something is going to be good to turn that attitude problem around.
Mhm.
Is like kind of what I see here.
Mhm.
So I am getting that vibe. Um, and you know how it is with tea leaf. I just like, and now I feel done with this, right? Like I feel like what needed
Yeah.
to be said
You're
was
like,
said.
okay, cool. Yeah.
Yeah. And then let me just briefly, because I know you've got to go. Let me briefly go through the tea leaf that I see here, for you in the cards. Oh, interesting. I keep seeing bats in your leaves as well. And I feel like that must be important to you in some way or symbolic for you. And I'm wondering if there's bats on your land or work you're going to do. I am seeing that. Um, and again, I'm getting that you caring for something or rescuing something. I'm also, again, seeing it in the cup here more than once.
Okay. Well, for me, like I do love seeing bats, and um I feel like I tend to see bats in tea leaves.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that it gets kind of weird when you're reading for a reader, and I just want to hear like what you have to say, which is why I just try to like
You're like,
because
oh, I
it's
know
whatever's
bat.
coming through for you. No, but like, yeah, we do get bats on our property in the summertime.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but also I like when I see bats because I feel like it's for me it means like intuition, like following,
Mm-hmm.
like even when you can't see clearly, but having accuracy by just following your intuition in the dark, right? Because that's when they're
Yeah.
all flying around stuff. Um, and I like that you keep getting like caregiver stuff because I feel like I am a caregiver, and several times in my life I've had to like deeply fall into that role.
Mm-hmm.
So I wouldn't be surprised if I was doing that again.
The tea smells good. Like I can't drink it after like a certain time because I just sleep. Like I'm so sensitive, but like it smells so good. Okay, I'm gonna keep this very brief because I know you've got to go and we're at our time, but I'm seeing a lot of repeating themes. There's just not a lot in the cup. There's like a little bit here and there. It's mostly the saucer. Um, oh, So at the very bottom of the saucer is like an image of someone turning away from you and they feel older than you. So I don't know if it's family or work related, but
Mm.
I'm getting like maybe where you thought would be support is not going to be support, or something happens to them and you weren't told, but they're turning away from you. And I don't know if it's necessarily a rejection or they're going through something and they don't know how to reach out. They just kind of go within. And I'm also getting the letter T for you in this as well. I don't know what that means, but I'll leave that for you. And matter of fact, what I kind of get a vibe in here around your day job is, your muggle job. I mean, like it's
Mm-hmm.
not bad. Like you're basically kind of like you can do what you need to do. Like I feel like it strikes a very nice balance between support and autonomy for you. And I do see that as well. Um, hmm. Oh, the final thing I'm going to say is a warning, and it's with your hand. So I don't know if you've had any hand issues or carpal tunnel issues or anything with the hand, but I'm getting like watch the hand. There could be an injury that happens in her hand, um, and that's the last thing I'm going to say about that.
Okay, I will take it.
So that was the everything but the last part was the kitchen sink reading. What'd you think?
I loved it. It was so cool. Like I can only imagine how someone would feel, like a client would feel, who even especially someone who's not a reader. Because I mean, I'm just enjoying it as someone, I think people think like, oh well, do you get readings? You know, if you can do it for yourself, it's such a treat to get a reading from someone. And
Yeah.
I'm just like imagining how your clients would feel to be like, whoa, you do all this? So cool.
I know, like,
You
end
know,
this,
it's
end
it's
this.
wonderful. I really, really loved it. I have a ton of nerd notes. Thank you. Yeah, I love it. I'm
Well,
gonna go
thank
gush with
you.
everyone.
Yeah, and thank you so much for being my like YouTube video like guinea pig person.
Yes.
So I could just showcase this reading so people can book it if they like it. And if you're a reader and you've got a ton of decks and a ton of doohickey stuff, like do this, like pull it all together into
Mhm.
one mega thing. And see where it takes you, because it's a lot of fun. I love these so much.
I loved it. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. So I'm going to stop the recording. So hang tight. But for those of you that are watching, thanks for hanging out. And Myra is magicdoortarot.com, right?
Yeah,
Is it? Oh,
themagicdoortarot.com.
it's the magic door
Yeah.
tarot.com. Okay.
I know I had to think about it earlier. Sorry. Yeah.
And then magicdoor.tarot at Instagram.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. All right.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for stopping in, and have fun.